Three, two, one.
All right, well, good afternoon, everybody. Hi, this is another edition of the Crescent Discussion Group. We are live here every Tuesday evening at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we are live also every Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we also simulcast. We're simulcasting all over the place here. We're simulcasting over on Facebook on my Crossing the Crescent Discussion Group Facebook page, and also on my Dr. Eric Smith Facebook page. And also, we are live in Blog Talk Radio. Many of you are not familiar with Blog Talk Radio, but that's a platform for like podcasts, and we broadcast from a network called the Global Patriot Radio Network, and it has people like Usama Dakduk has been on there for 14 years. He's 14, 15 years. He's been there forever. He's like one of the original people who had shows there. And if you ever get a chance to get over there, there's a show 7 days a week. And a lot of it is more, it's shifted more towards being politically oriented than religiously oriented. Believe it or not, the network was initially labeled Radio Jihad, and the Southern Poverty Law Center labeled it as a hate group. I know, go figure. Well, they had. Well, I know, SPLC that has no credibility whatsoever, anyway. But exactly. They labeled it a hate group, and then the network changed its name and reorganized, and under Global Patriot Radio, and the SPLC just kept the label there for some reason, but it's okay. As you're saying, they also labeled Franklin Graham as a hate preacher, so they have no credibility in just about anybody's eyes. They're a bunch of leftist pigs anyway. Yep. They were once a great organization, don't get me wrong. Especially during the height of the civil rights movement, but they've just like everything else, they've become corrupted, and they're just about useless is what they are today. They got hundreds of millions of dollars parked offshore also, for some reason. What do you need hundreds of millions of dollars for if you're a civil rights organization? Maybe they ought to talk to CARE. Maybe CARE would get some money from them. Who knows? Okay, so tonight, we're going to be talking about telling the truth. Is that a bad thing to tell the truth?
Yes.
How's that, Mr. Claus? I knew there was going to. When I wrote this, because I wrote down this question, I said, okay, I'm going to have ask these questions. I knew somebody was going to say, yeah, that's okay. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was thinking like a Muslim.
Yeah, when you follow the father of lies, it's a bad thing.
Okay, all right. I'm thinking. Okay, so let's say your husband. I've been married, it'll be 36 years here shortly. And if my wife asked me, she goes, how does this dress look on me? Now, there's a lot of ways that you can answer that question. And a lot of those ways would be completely truthful. But at the same time, are you always going to say, oh, you're my wife. I think that you look lovely all the time anyway. Does that address the way that she looks, though? No. So you can't answer it that way. You have to be direct. You have to say, well, up on it's a little too long for these standards, or it's a little too short to where here it hasn't come down. You can make a critique, and that's not what she wants to hear. So you have to be creative. You just look like $1 million in that, hon. That's what you say. Now, does she look like $1 million in that dress? No, because $1 million looks. Let's face it. $1 million would be. That's a bad joke. Okay, but the bottom line is it always? It's
real green, always, right?
Is it a bad thing to tell the truth? And tonight,
wait a second. Hold on, wait, Eric. So you're saying it's not a good idea. Okay, life lessons, not to say to wife, I'm writing this down here. When the wife asks you, does this dress make me look fat? You mean to tell me it's not a good idea to say, no, baby, it's not the dress that makes you look fat. It's the fat that makes you look fat.
That's right. I would rather be told the truth. Well, I used to tell my friends, don't be nice to me, tell me the truth. And I was dead in the world. But I had that saying a lot. Don't be nice to me, tell me the truth.
Okay.
All right. Well, marking that down, life lesson number 1 from Eric. Okay, got it.
Okay, well, let me just tell you, the queen is a marathon runner. When I say a marathon runner, I literally mean she runs marathons. So there's not a lot.
Oh no, she's gonna kick my ass when I come. Oh man.
I know. I'm gonna play this clip for her too. Rat said, "The dress doesn't make you look fat. It's that chunkiness that you've accumulated over the." Anyway, let's get back to topic here. Okay, I should not have gone down that road, but it's the show. We can do what we want here, right? Okay, so the point I was trying to make, though, is that if you're telling the truth, can it be labeled as bigotry or racism or some type of aspersion or label it somebody that you want to label people with, like, I don't know, an Islamophobe? Can you be called an Islamophobe for telling the truth?
Yes.
Okay. And I
sorry.
agree with you.
I'm thinking like a Muslim again.
No.
Yeah, no, I started thinking like a Muslim again too. Yeah.
You can be, but does that mean it's true though? Does it mean?
Oh,
does
yeah.
Does it make it? Just because that you can be called that, does that make it true? I mean, what is
facts? Don't care about your feelings.
This is true. I like that. That's a great statement. Facts don't care.
Quoting Ben Shapiro.
Facts don't care. Who?
Ben Shapiro.
The Ben Shapiro. The Jewish hammer.
Yeah.
Facts don't
smart
care.
Kid. Yeah.
About
your feelings.
Your feelings. All right. I'm putting this at the top of
my notes. Bring up those Jews, man. With that
one thing that I'd like to add to, one thing that I'd like to add to is that I think what's really important is where's the space that the dialogue is happening? Are you attacking a specific person, or are you having a problem with a certain philosophy and ideology? I think in apologetics, that's what happens. People will attack other ideologies because what apologetics are about is defending your belief. So to defend your belief, you're going to probably challenge other people's beliefs. That's just the nature of this kind of discussion. So I think it's interesting that people will get angry and say, you are, against my religion. Well, I mean, like I went on the other channel, I'm like, but you're attacking this other religion. You're attacking Judaism and Christianity, and you're saying, well, I don't want people to attack Islam. Well, then why are you attacking Judaism and Christianity? I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Personally, I think that's just the nature. It depends on what your dialogue is and what your ground rules are. Are you going to have no holds bar and have a full discussion, or are you going to kind of say, oh no, if you talk about my thing in a bad way, I'm going to say you're a meanie. I'm like, I don't think that's fair or justice. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
you do know. Yeah, you do know. Because if they're in the realm of debate and discussion, then that's what it is. It's a debate and it's a discussion. But when it turns into, well, you got a big nose, or well, you're fearful, well, then that shows that they're losing the discussion. They're losing the debate because they won't stay on the topic of the discussion or of the debate.
And that's
Sorry,
exactly.
Eric.
I was just reading.
Sorry,
No. I
Eric.
was just
had to
reading.
get that out, man.
I was just reading a
right.
comment here. Andrew Martin, who's in our chat tonight, XYZ posted his website. So if y'all want to go over to koreancontradictionhome.blog/the thigh of Muhammad. I've heard about that thigh, and I don't really want to go there, but it's okay. So the obvious answer is yes. You can be attacked for being a racist. You can be called a hater. You can be called a hate monger, a hate preacher, all kinds of things that that come along with criticizing a belief system. If I was to criticize, let's say, Hinduism, I could say, well, Hinduism, those guys probably even 3 million gods. What kind of logic is that? Who would want to believe in 3 million? Who would do that?
Yeah.
That would be. Would that be Hindophobia? But to doing that, no. What that would be is that would be a logical or a truthful. That's the key word that we're playing on here tonight. A truthful description of what Hinduism is. So if I was to go through, let's say, like a top 10 list of reasons why we don't believe that Muhammad was a prophet at all tonight, and all 10 of these were the truth, would that be considered Islamophobia? Would I be considered a person who was spreading hate? And what is going to happen, I can tell you that I'll probably get emails tonight about this, but we are going to do this, by the way. But what was going to happen is that, no, you cannot say that because that is insulting and that is offending me as a Muslim.
Well, that's making it personal anyway.
Well, I mean, if telling the truth about and reading it, not just telling the truth, but reading the truth straight from your own trusted sources, from the Quran, from Sahih Hadith, from Tasfir, people that
the
most
Sirah,
or the Sirah, or from the biography. Is that Islamophobia?
No, because we're going head on with it. That we're not fearing it. We're critiquing it. We're reporting it, and we're saying, it's wrong, and trying to wake people up by the discussion.
And I agree with that. And when you say trying to wake people up, I think a better way. Sorry for
it's a play on words, of course.
I know,
it's a play on words
for criticizing your description, but it's educating people about their own faith. If you talk to, I would bet, I would be willing to wager that if you talk to just your everyday run of the mill Muslim across the globe, some of the things that we talk about on this show and some of the things that I'm going to bring up here in a few minutes, they wouldn't have a clue. Or they would say, well, there are certain contexts to make that okay. Or, well, there was something else going on. They had lied to Muhammad. And this is why there's always some type of rescuing device that is involved in there. And we Christians, we do the same thing.
That happens, though. That only happens when you're speaking to Muslims in the West, or Muslims in the Philippines, or Muslims in the UK. Muslims in a Sharia-controlled country, they're not going to disagree with you. They're going to agree with you.
Right. Yeah, they would say, Allahu Akbar, because we're saying what it says. We're saying their doctrine.
You talk to, I talked to this guy named Jihadi. I debated him. Remember the young kid? I remember. Probably about 16.
He was just on the other day with somebody. Who was he on? Who was he talking to just the other day?
Not sure. But he even said that he would, if he found out that somebody was talking bad about Islam where he lived, he would feel good by going to rat that person out, especially if they were an apostate, because they would get the death penalty.
Wow, love thy neighbor, huh?
Say that again. Whoa. I missed a step here.
He would have no problem. Like, say there was a Christian in the Middle East, probably would be an ex-Muslim, of course, right? And they were talking about Islam. He would have no problem. This jihadi kid would have no problem going to the officials of the country, telling on him, having him arrested and killed.
Really?
They don't have a problem with it in a Muslim-controlled country. It's only in a country where Sharia is not implied. So if you're talking to a Muslim from the West, then he's going to say, yeah, there's, sure it happened, but there was this stipulation and that stipulation, and this had to happen, then that had to happen. And the same thing with Muslims in the UK, same thing with Muslims in the Philippines. But talk to a Muslim straight from Afghanistan, talk to a Muslim straight from Iraq or somewhere like that, and they're going to tell you that, yeah, that's exactly what happens. And an apostate leaves Islam, they deserve to die. And they have no problem saying it. Like,
Yeah.
And about Muhammad marrying a 9, heck yeah, he married a 9-year-old, and we'll marry a 9-year-old too. They have no problem with that.
Right.
But here in the West, there is, and this is
they
where
can't get.
They can't push into though. This is where
they don't have the upper hand.
Well, yeah, they can't get in trouble in a Sharia-controlled country for that view. They can only be in trouble in the Western democracy view, right? Something that's not a Sharia-controlled land would not allow it. That's why the Muslims in the UK, the Muslims in the Philippines, Muslims in the West, that's why they're making up these excuses, because it's not the law of the land. Once it's the law of the land, just like it is over in the Middle East, they'll admit it just like the rest of the Muslims.
Well, what I do know is that if you would say some of the things that we say here on this show in the Middle East, we would literally lose our heads. And this is why I kind of, I don't know, the wife and I, Queen, we've talked about going back to Israel for a summer vacation. Not this summer, but summer sometime in the future. I don't know. Maybe in the spring sometime. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is that I also want to go to Egypt. Because you want to go see the Sphinx, you want to go see the pyramids, you want to go up and down the Nile, you want to. I want to go to Petra, but those are Muslim majority countries. So the question then becomes: would I be able to get a visa to go into those countries based on what we say here on this show? And according to Chris, they're proud of it, and I would think that there's probably a lot of truth to that. But here in the West, though, they try to run away from it, is what they do. And so what I'm going to do tonight is I'm just going to list 10 separate things that Muhammad did and illustrate how saying these things makes people want to call you names, want to label you, want to stigmatize you with certain names and try to do certain things to your careers. All right, so let's start with number one. I wanted to make another point. Number one, here's another point that I wanted to make before we move into that. Thank God for the internet. The internet, I believe, and this is my personal view. I believe that the internet is the death nail to Islam, and here's why I believe this. Because the more people tell the truth about what Muhammad did, how he used, differing sources to compile the Quran. I mean, he borrowed from the Midrash, he borrowed from the Talmud, he borrowed from Gnostic sources, he borrowed from Syriac folklore, he borrowed from all over the place in order to compile that. When you point out all the anachronisms and the historical inaccuracies and the scientific fallacies, all these things, when they become educated on this, and the more that they're told about this in light of reality, the more people will leave it. And the more people that leave it, the more people will be coming to Jesus Christ. That is my hope. That is my sincere hope. And that's the only reason why I do these things. And one of the famous quotes that I always see in chat, I'm not exactly sure who says it all the time, but without lies, Islam dies. I don't know who says that all the time, but Andrew did a good job of What did he put here? This is, what did he say here? Islam can only spread through darkness of ignorance, sir. The internet spreads light to the information. Exactly. That's exactly right. So this is why I hope that this is one of the hopes that I have for shows like this, or people who actually do a good job, much better job than we do here, of articulating the problems with the Quran, the problems with the history of Islam. One of the best websites to go to on YouTube, in my opinion, to look at the history of Islam and what they're doing with the history of Mecca, with the history of the development of it, is Flander Films. Go to Jay Smith's YouTube channel. He is doing all kinds of wonderful things over on his channel with that. Okay, so
Yeah,
number
awesome.
one. Yeah, he is. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, number 10. Let's start with number 10. All right, number 10. Top 10 reasons why he was not a prophet. Why Muhammad could not have been a prophet, or an example to follow. This is the key, one of the key things to understand, as being the best example to follow, because whatever he did is a standard of conduct for other people to follow. So number 1, he was a religious bigot. Well, why do you say that, Eric? Well, if you read in, well, first off, you have to know what a bigot is. And now, if he's not a bigot, then it would be Allah who is a bigot, the creator of all mankind. Here's what it says in Surah 98, verse 6. They who disbelieved among the people of Scripture and the polytheists will be in the fire of hell, abiding eternally therein. They are the worst of creatures. So if you are a Christian, or if you are a Jew, you're the worst of creatures. And being the worst of creatures, and this is where we've spoken extensively about how you are treated in light of being the worst of creatures. Adam Seeker's been on here several times, and he's described how Christians are treated in Pakistan, a Muslim majority country. The best job that they call them, well, he says it's kind of a foul term, but they clean out the gutters of the sewer cleaners.
Wait, Eric, are you saying in Islam that Christians or Jews are worse than the swine of the humankind?
Yes. Hold on just a second. Connie had made something. No, I didn't get it uploaded. I was going to upload it, Connie. I saw it. I saw that message that you sent me, but I didn't get it uploaded from Google Drive today. Sorry.
Poor beans. No.
I'll get it there soon enough. But yeah, the swine of the humankind. The swine. I mean, I got my pigs back here. I was at the store last night, seeing if they had any new ones in, and they didn't. Okay, so if you call somebody the worst of creatures, that's basically bigotry. Now, because of their religious beliefs, let's just put it that way. And then you go on, it goes on to say in Surah 5, ayat 51, verse 51, it says, do not to take the Jews and the Christians for friends. They are friends of each other. And whoever amongst you takes them as a friend, then surely he is one of them. And if you are one of them, you're no longer a Muslim.
Yeah, surely Allah isn't like blessing the wrongdoers. Yeah,
well,
which he's calling them wrongdoers. And the thing is if you're married, if a Muslim is married to a Christian, so you can't be allies with her, you can't take friends with her. It's hypocrisy. It's stupidity.
I was thinking about that today, about the marriage thing. What kind of religion? Okay, what kind of religion, according to their own law, the Sharia, allows a man to marry four women, and the women cannot marry 4 men. They can only marry 1. And then the man can marry a woman if she is a Muslim, if she's a Christian, if she's a Jew, or she's a Zoroastrian. He can marry those 4 types of women. The 3 different religions there. But a Muslim woman can only marry a Muslim man.
So it's all about the children. It's all about the children, because if the husband is a Muslim, then the man accepts those children as little Muslims. So if it's the opposite, then Allah doesn't recognize those children as under Islamic, as being Muslims. It's all stupidity anyway. I like that. Without lies, Islam dies.
Yeah, John, were you going to say something? I didn't know if you were going to chime in on you were.
Well, I kind of said the same thing that Connie said, but here's something that's very interesting, right? The Quran, or they're supposed to be allowed to marry the people of the book, right? I still don't know who the people of the book are, because Christians in the Quran, we're not called Nasarans. But as a Christian, we are committing shirk. Therefore, we are now mushrikeens. So why would Allah allow a Muslim to marry? We're just like the unbelievers. And a Muslim can't marry an unbeliever unless she converts first. Right now, I don't know about the Jews because I'm not Jew. I don't really know much about it. But from as far as the Christian part, why would Allah allow you to marry a pagan worshiper, as they call us?
Well, not only that, but which book? Because it doesn't say Bible in the Quran. Remember, Muslims always tell us it doesn't say Bible. So which book? Which book are they talking about? And
they don't know.
And another important fact about this. Well, you guys mentioned up that well, I've heard Muslims differentiate. They say no, not Trinitarian Christians they can't marry, but they can marry Unitarian Christians. That's fine.
Well, that's a small sect right
They just keep on building to Islam. Islam is not in a book, it's in their tongue, which is against Allah.
Hey, Islam is like the religion. You fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
That's about right.
Yeah, Michael asks, is it the people of the telephone book? With those people that are in or Darcy's, the dictionary?
Now, when did the Zoroastrians...
So true, Darcy.
When did the Zoroastrians worship, or the Sabians worship Allah? So why are they included in there with the people of the book?
I don't know why.
Because
The Quran doesn't tell. The detailed Quran.
That's why.
I'm thinking.
What did he say?
I said their women were hot, dude. That's why. And that's why. You know what I mean?
Probably they were white.
I'm thinking that it was just an influence of those people that were, around him. Notice he doesn't mention any Hindus, he doesn't mention any Buddhists, or he doesn't mention, because it was just those types of religions that were in the Arabian Peninsula in the 7th century. Okay, so let's jump back to this. Okay, so when we think of the not being able to marry, but also being a bigot, also be thinking about 929. Those people who refuse to believe that Muhammad is the messenger of God. Those people who are forced to pay the jizya tax, the dhimmis. How can you subjugate somebody using today's standards? Because if Muhammad is supposed to be the common exemplar, or is supposed to be the exemplar for all of time, everywhere across the globe, how can he be the exemplar today when you can subjugate and demand a extortion tax just to live with them or among them? How can you do that? And the answer is you can't unless you're a bigot and you practice bigotry towards another person based on race, color, creed, religion, all these things that we look down on today in the 21st century that we find in the Hadith, in the Pack of Umar, when we find it in the Sharia, we find it in all these writings. Okay, number 9. Unless somebody else has anything to say about that, I want to go to number 9. Going once, okay, never mind. All right, number 9. He was an enslaver, a slave owner, and a slave trader. So when we think of Muhammad as being somebody we think of somebody who practiced slavery. And I know slavery is one of those, getting ready to sneeze. Slavery is one of those things that we look down upon.
Yeah, we detest. We detest it.
This is one of those sins that our country has committed that we own and we have owned up too. Said, look, yes, our country did this. Yes, it was wrong. Yes, we've tried to atone for that and make right and to bring the descendants of those slaves into society without looking down upon them in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, but if you look at Islam, there's nothing like that in Islam. And the reason why is because Muhammad, he enslaved people. When they went to war, he enslaved the women and children, took them as sex slaves. There's all kinds of hadith stating that.
And the Sharia.
And we find it according to the Sharia. But also, he owned slaves himself, and he traded slaves. So here you have somebody that is waist deep in the slave trade in the 7th century. He's the exemplar for people to follow for all time. And if he is the exemplar for people to follow for all time, can you still practice slavery according to Islam?
Islam says yes.
And the answer is yes. The absolute answer is yes. I have not heard a coherent, a cogent argument against that. There was the show that I used to participate on quite often a number of years ago, where I would call in, and the guy that hosted the show was a Muslim, and this is one of the things that I brought up to him. He had I don't know if the guy was an imam or if he was a sheikh or who was on there. And one of the questions that I had for the sheikh was, what about slavery? Where does Islam abolish slavery? And he says it does not. And I said, okay, can Muslims practice slavery today? And he goes, yes, in every single instance that it is practiced in Muslim countries, they can practice it. Yes. And
hey, an honest check.
Well, these guys, it's the guy that hosted it, just a great guy. I mean, he was a really nice guy. I really liked him. He's a black guy who's from Atlanta, and he used to do Facebook live streams, kind of thing that gave me the idea to do Muhammad Hard Truth Smith. If you ever want to look that guy up, he doesn't do this podcast anymore, but he was just a really nice guy. But I just
wait a second.
Like it. At least he's honest.
Wait a second. Don't you guys know that Muhammad freed a slave? So therefore, slavery is outlawed in Islam. Do you guys know that? He freed a slave.
A slave. Manumitted one slave. Yes.
Right. There you go. And he did that. I forgot what the reason for it was. Do you guys know that Aisha freed 100 slaves because she broke a vow? Think about that.
Oh.
Think about that. This little girl had 100 slaves to free.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, you're telling me, but now see the Muslims say, but she freed them. But why did she free them? Because she felt guilty about something. It doesn't say that, yeah, you can free them, okay, to make amends for what you feel guilty for. It doesn't say you can't go then purchase another 100.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes, that's true.
You know? So now you've actually just created a perpetual. Think about this. You can go out and commit all kinds of sins, and all you got to do is free a slave. So therefore, you want to purchase a lot of slaves. So therefore, you just go and free them, and you purchase more slaves. You see what I'm saying?
So you got a great surplus every time you sin. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Man, Muslims wake up. This stuff is not good.
Let's read a couple verses from the Quran about this. 33:50. O Prophet, we have made lawful to thee thy wives to whom.
Are you showing us this? Are you showing us it?
No.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes,
I can. Let me just move this over here. I have. See my notes. All right. Share. Oh wait. Here we go. All right. There we go. So this is. Let me see if I can make this any bigger. All right, O Prophet, we made these lawful to thee thy wives, whom thou hast paid their dowries, and those slaves whom thy right hand possesses, out of the prisoners of war whom Allah has assigned. So, who is it that the right hand possesses? Slaves, sex slaves. So Muhammad not only had slaves, but he also had sex slaves, according to this verse. You go to Quran 4:20. Let me jump back over here. Sorry. 4:24. All married women are forbidden unto you, save those your right hand possesses. And of course, what that means is that if you are a married woman and you have been captured in battle, you're now a sex slave, and you can do whatever you want with the woman. There is even a hadith. I don't know if I have that. I don't have it up here. but there is a hadith where the men came to him and asked, and can we have sex with these women, but their husbands are still alive? And Muhammad was like, you do whatever you want with them.
Yeah, go for it.
And I'm just trying to figure out, is it Islamophobic to bring this up?
No.
Is it
hateful? What it
is it hateful to bring this up? Is it the truth that this happened?
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I don't know if it's the truth or not, because I don't believe the hadith.
It's not the truth, but it's you're reporting on it honestly.
Well, here's what I've heard Muslims say. Here's what I've heard Muslims say in response to this. No, it is not hateful to bring it up. It is only hateful if you bring it up and say it's wrong.
It's only hateful to what? Bring it up.
It's only hateful if you bring it up and say it's wrong. Because
and you make a judgment on it.
You make a judgment on it. Yeah, that's what makes it Islamophobic. If you say it's wrong and judge it as wrong. Because, they bring it up all the time and they think it's a good thing. They really do. They think it's, yeah.
Well, the thing is Allah says in the Quran to judge the Quran by the Bible, by the gospel. So that's what we're doing. We're making a judgment. Even Islam says that. So Allah doesn't have a problem with us making a judgment call. It's just the Muslims, mainly the West, like you're talking about, that are calling us names because we're making a judgment. We're doing exactly what Allah has said.
There's looks like there's somebody, Abbas Agha. I don't mean to mispronounce the name here. One quote is of Paul and Jeremiah is not about slaves. Still nothing in the Bible that God the Father, Jesus, condemns slavery. Okay, so if we are to be Christ-like, does that mean that we are to own slaves? Did Jesus own slaves?
No. He set us free spiritually. Mm-hmm.
Has he read the book of Jude, where slaves are to be considered to be freed, be considered brothers in Christ? Maybe you missed that one. So please do not come here trying to tell us that there's some sort of moral equivalent between slavery in Christianity and slavery in Islam. There's just too many sources here to make your prophet look guilty. All right. How about adultery? Would we agree that adultery is wrong? I think we could all agree with that.
Because the scriptures do. The scriptures tell us and teach us. Uh-huh.
Okay. So if you were to hear Jesus say, in Matthew, what is this, 5:20? Let me put this up here. Jesus says, "You've heard it said, you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery in his heart." So Jesus is setting a new standard as far as adultery is concerned. So even if you look at a woman lustfully,
with lust,
and you're married with lust, you're committing adultery.
No, you don't have to be married. You don't have to be married. You don't have to be married. It's just a man that looks upon a woman with lust in his heart. He's committed adultery in his heart. So yeah, you're right. He's changing. He's updating the standard. So you don't have to be married. He didn't say a married man. Yeah.
I think.
Right.
No. How can you commit adultery if you are not married?
Well, he just said it. If a man look upon a woman, he didn't say a married man. He just because he's trying to get all the men. He's trying to get all the men, all you men, whether you're married or not. But he just said the men. If a man, that doesn't mean a married man. If a man look upon a woman with lust,
how can you? Well, here's the question.
Yes.
How can you commit adultery if you're not married though?
It's what Jesus said though. If a man, and that means, when he becomes a man, if he looks at, let's say he's 18, okay, and he's a man, or 13, he's a man, or 14, 15, whatever. If he's a man, not a child, But if he's a man and he looks upon a woman with lust in his heart, he has committed adultery in his heart. That's what Jesus said.
But
so he don't have to be a married man, because Jesus didn't say that.
In order to commit adultery, though, you have to be married.
He's grabbing the whole men. You understand? He's grabbing the whole men, all of the men. He's not separating it.
I think we're going to have to disagree.
Because he's grabbing all the men. That's God. He's saying all you men in general. Or he would have said married men. You married men.
But what's the definition of adultery?
Well, let's look.
I think I'm going to have to decide.
Wait a minute. Let's look. That's okay.
Well, I know. Yeah. But this is spiritual here. This is spiritual. So God's taking it that it's adultery. Right. God's taking it as adultery.
I can handle spiritual adultery, I guess.
I don't think.
Well, yeah, because you're looking upon it with lust in your heart. So God's seeing the heart.
Let's look at this. Okay, so adultery.
Yeah, you have to be married. Yes, adultery is a married man. But God didn't say a married man.
Person other than your spouse. Violation of the marriage bed, carnal connection of a married person.
Yes, married man. Okay. So think about. Okay. Then think about it this way. So then, if a man isn't married and he lusts upon a woman, it's okay with Jesus? You can lust all you want because you're not married? Come on, Eric. I'm reasoning with you. Can
I talk?
I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'm just applying the definition of adultery here. Adultery is if you are married, you have intercourse with somebody that is not your spouse. That's according to legal definition. If you go to the Bible, in the Ten Commandments, adultery is between somebody who is married. And not the spouse. Okay, so Jesus raises the bar, not to those people. He doesn't mention anything about those other men over here. He doesn't say anything. Now, you want to say that he implies that? That's fine. Okay, that's fine.
Men is men. It's not women. Not women. It's men.
What he's doing, though, is he's elevating the standard for adultery from the physical contact, because everything always begins with what you see with your eyes. You lust after what you see. So what he's doing is he's saying, look, if you lust after a woman that you see and you were married.
Oh, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say if you're married. Because think about it. Okay, fine, I'm not married anymore. 18-year-old. Let's say you're working with. Wait a minute. Let's say you're working with someone.
Going back to the original definition of adultery, though,
but actually, you have to go to the original definition of man. He's not talking to women. God is grabbing the men first, so that everything will be in order. Okay, and it's men. That's the definition that you look at. Men,
though. It says everyone.
Does it say everyone? Then that's all of us.
Okay, so a woman.
Okay, then I will agree with that. I mean, if the man looked upon, then that would be everyone, which is even better, which even makes more of my case on that, because then God is grabbing the whole human race and saying, if you look upon a woman with lust in your heart, you've committed adultery in your heart. So that's even better.
All right. Well, we're going to disagree.
Okay, right? So it's not the married man, right?
Tomorrow morning,
it's not the married man.
I'm going to make a separate video. I'm going to make a separate video saying that I'm right on all this. All right. So let's take a look. Let's make the application. Let's make the application here. Okay. So when we look at Quran verse, 66, or chapter 66, ayat 1, verse 1. O prophet, why do you prohibit it what God has made lawful for you? And what he was talking about here is Miriam. Now, if you remember how the story goes, let me see if I got that down here. I think I have that in my notes. How the story goes. Well, here's Al-Jalalain. When he lay with her in the house of Hafsa, so here's what's happening. He's having sex with his slave girl, Miriam. She's a Coptic Christian girl. See, he's following the Sunnah. I guess he can lay with Christian girls. But anyway, who had been away, but who upon returning and finding out became upset by the fact that she had taken place, this had taken place in her own house and in her own bed, by saying she is unlawful for me, seeking making her unlawful. So what you have here is you have Muhammad getting caught shagging his slave girl in the bed of one of his wives. He does the right thing. He says, "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done this. This is wrong." He gets a verse from God, gets a verse from Allah saying that this has been made lawful for you. Why do you make promises to your wives when I have given you these women? So these women, you can have sex with them all day long. And if you follow the standard of Jesus, if you see a woman and you lust for her in your heart, you've committed adultery already, let alone doing it in one of the beds of your wives. And then receiving a convenient verse from Allah saying, it's right.
Yeah, it's cool, man.
That would be the same as David. Oh my gosh, this guy's...
Yeah, David not repenting, doing what he wants, exactly. And then God says, "Oh, it's cool, man. Go for it."
You can. We made her lawful. I mean, you're the king after all, and you're my guy.
There you go, buddy.
No, and it also, let's see here. We're going to go down a little bit further. If you remember the story of Muhammad when he saw his the wife of his adopted son, what did he do after her? He lusted after her.
Yep, he lusted, got horny. Yeah, CP says things rose up. Seriously, things rose up down him. Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's a boss guy, but if the slave survives a day, he's talking about passages from the Mosaic Covenant. Dude, if you are a dude, I don't know, maybe you're not a dude, but dude, there's something called the New Covenant. I'd take a close look at that and see what that says, what we're commanded to do today.
And the word slavery, the word slave in the Bible wasn't, what we know slave.
You're right. You're right.
Yes,
I mean, they get down in the weeds with these guys.
They do. Yes, sir.
You're right. Like wrestling with a pig.
See, you're right. I told you you're right, Eric.
Write that down. What's today? Today is 12 October.
Oh, man, mark that down, buddy.
5:47, 17:47 hours. All right.
Where's Chris? Where'd Chris go?
He's out eating that steak is what he's doing.
Man. Oh, yeah, he is, isn't he?
Yeah, I would too. I mean, okay. All right. So let's see here. So Muhammad commits adultery, receives a revelation allowing him to do it. And we're to believe that Jesus is... And here's where I really have a hard time with this mantra that we hear. Oh, we love Jesus. We follow the teachings of Jesus. No, you don't.
What teachings?
Well,
10 sentences.
This specific teaching. Well, one of the favorite ones is, well, Jesus fell on his face and prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane, where that's the one that they always cite. Well, we pray like Jesus. No, you don't.
They don't.
And they don't follow the teachings of Jesus. And if you would have followed the teachings of Jesus, Muhammad would not have done this. But he did. So is he therefore a standard of conduct to follow for all time? If you lust after a woman, if you have slaves, and then you can have sex slaves, and then you can have those slaves, sex with those slaves in the beds of your wife. Is that the standard of conduct that you want to follow? Is it Islamophobic to say that?
No, it's corruption in the land. It's corruption in the land.
Yeah, I'm committing corruption in the land. I've been told that before. Okay.
Because you believe in God, right?
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. Here's another one. He was a thief. And he caused you to inherit their land and their houses and their wealth and the land you have not trodden. Allah is ever able to do all these things. So this is where you can take the property of unbelievers. Even Ishaq in the Sirah, in the biography on page 503, Allah saw that what was in their hearts, so he rewarded them with victory and with as much as spoils as they could take. Now, the
Wow.
spoils of war, this is something that has been practiced for centuries. This is true. But to have Muhammad do it is codifying it, is making it an example to follow. So therefore, saying that stealing, as long as you conquer that person, if you go out and whack, I mean, like let's say you do a carjacking from a kafir. Let's say I'm driving the kafir car down the road, and you come up to me and put a gun on my face and says, "Give me the car." So I get out of the car, you hop in. Would that be okay? Would that be all right? Because if you look
No,
at
sir.
it, attacking caravans, which, you know, here's the justification they use for the caravans. Well, it was their property to begin with. Remember, they fled Mecca in the middle of the night to go to Medina, so therefore they didn't have any property when they got to Medina. Really, really, that's the excuse for stealing, that you can steal. That's the excuse that you get from them. So he was a thief. He was a liar.
Thou shalt not steal. Even Jesus spoke on that.
And thou shalt not bear false witness.
Yeah,
and this is
man,
what he
that's
did
a
here.
big one. That hits Islam right there.
Yeah, here he is. He was a liar, Sahih Bukhari, who makes peace with the people by inventing good information or saying good things, is not a liar.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes, Muhammad. Oh, here's another one.
Lying is permitted. What did it say? What did it continue saying? Okay, yes, sir. Okay, thank you.
The end justifies the means is just kind of my side little note to that.
Okay.
Get to Bukhari, volume 5, book 59, number 359. In order to commit murder. Now, I'm sure we're all very familiar with this passage where Muhammad asks who's willing to kill Kabgan al-Sharif, who has hurt Allah and his apostle. Thereupon Muhammad bin Maslama got up saying, "Oh, Allah's apostle, would you like that I kill him?" The Prophet said, "Yes." Muhammad bin Maslama said, "Then allow me to say false thing to deceive him." The Prophet said, "You may say it." So in order to get somebody to kill you, or to allow you to kill somebody that's criticizing you or has been harsh on you, you can lie to them.
And Allah was hurt. So how is God hurt? They're not even thinking what they're writing. Yeah, if Allah's hurt, how is Allah hurt? You know, they're just using the word Allah to make a religion, to make lasciviousness a license to sin. You know,
a lot of ways when you look at it in the aggregate, that's what you can come up with. It's easy to deduce that. Let's see here. How about a murderer? Oh yes. How about a murderer? Let's see here. And there's a website.
Yeah, let's see if Islam is murder. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, the Banu Qurayza tribe, 800 people. And Ishaq describes it. Then they surrendered, and the apostle confined them in Medina in the quarter of Al-Harith, a woman of Bin al-Najjar. Then the apostle went out to the market of Medina, which is still its market today, and dug trenches in it. Then he sent for them and struck off their heads, and those trenches as they were brought out to him in batches. Among them was the enemy of Allah, Huwayy bi al-Khattab, and Kab Assad, their chief. There were 600 or 700 in all, though some put. So in other words, he's gone out. He brings out this Jewish tribe, and he whacks all their heads off. And then, if I'm not mistaken, he took all here was a standard for a man.
Yeah,
say it. Entered puberty. You had to have entered puberty, and they would check up.
Yeah, pull down the pants.
Not yet. All right, you're a slave. So I don't know what would be worse, being a slave or having your head lopped off. But that was their standard. That's your standard.
And doesn't Allah talk about, protecting your private parts and everything? And then what are they doing? They're going there and opening their pants. Yeah, checking them out. Yeah. What is that? That's hypocrisy, like you say, right? That's hypocrisy.
Yeah, and then plus the women, they took the women and sold them into slavery too.
There you go.
Let's see here. So his only requirement was post-pubescent. Okay, and that's from Al-Tabari. Okay. we you know what we call this today? Ethnic cleansing. So we could add another label here. Was Muhammad an ethnic cleanser? Well, let's look at the syllogism. Muhammad had what was the other tribe? He had there was 3 Jewish tribes there. The Banu Qurayza, the Banu Naduk, and I can't remember, but he had the one completely banished. And then, or the 2 of them completely banished, and then this 3rd one he just killed. So would that be considered ethnic cleansing? Well,
yes, sir.
I would think so, if that's considered ethnic cleansing, to kill an entire tribe of people based on their religious affiliation. So that would make him
just using reason and logic. Reason and logic says yes, he murdered him.
Yeah. Okay. So he also had people killed for criticizing. So we would call him what do you call it? Not an accomplice to murder. What do you call somebody that that tries to get other people to kill for you? What do you call that type? Is there like a label for that? A legal label? It doesn't matter. But he had all kinds of people killed for criticizing him. So let's just kind of look at this list here real quick.
Kind of like the warlord. I would call him a warlord. You know, you go do that and they do it.
Chloe says he's a hitman.
Well, hello.
Okay, so
she's right.
She's
right.
Abu Afek. So if you look at all of these people that he had killed or ordered their killing, it's just grotesque. If this is your standard of conduct, to have people killed, then how do you start a conversation with somebody like that? I don't know where you would begin a conversation like that. Here's Rad's favorite one: blind man's wife, concubine, killed a Muslim on his own initiative because the woman insulted Muhammad. When Muhammad learned what had happened, he said no retaliation is payable for her blood. So you got a blind man, his wife's criticizing Muhammad. He kills her, and Muhammad says, that's right, no problem. You did the right thing. So when you look at all these, there's just...
Well, that's Allah from Allah right there.
Say again, Rad.
You're broken up.
That's Allah, baby.
Hold on.
That's Allah from Allah. That's Allah from Allah right there. You know?
Okay.
Allah from Allah?
Okay, you're coming from your tablet.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay,
Allah from Allah.
No, okay.
Yeah, I had to...
All right.
I go mobile for a second.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, that's Allah from Allah, baby. That's you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that I was thinking was the first one, Asma bint Marwan, because here's what it says: she used to revile Islam. This is from the Sirah.
Are you showing us this?
No, let me do it. Hold on.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay. She used to revile, offend the Prophet, instigate people against him. She composed verses. And then Umar ibn Adi came to her in the night and entered her house. Her children were sleeping around her. Look at this. There was one she was suckling. So she's breastfeeding this kid. He searched with his hand because he was blind and separated the child from her. Oh, well, at least he took the child off of her chest. And then he thrust his sword into her chest until it pierced up to her back. Then he offered then he goes back and prays.
Wow, how great. How pious is
prayer, he? Yeah.
With
the prayers with the Prophet at Medina, the apostle of Allah said to him, have you slain the daughter of Marwan? He said, yes. Is there something more for me to do? Muhammad said, no. Two goats will butt their heads about her.
Well, what about the suckling child? I mean, how is he eating, right?
Yeah,
jeez, I mean, they're not even thinking when they wrote this stuff. And the Muslims need to reason and be logical with this stuff.
Yeah, I just reading through that. I mean, some of those, it was just, for criticizing. I mean, if you think of all the people who've criticized Christ, if you truly are following the example of Christ, if you're truly following his teachings, who criticized Christ? Virtually everybody around him. The Sadducees,
Mostly the religious
Pharisees,
people.
right? Exactly. So
Yeah,
did Jesus
not the
say, "Go
people
kill
that
them?
needed him. The
Rise up.
masses followed him.
Rise up and go kill those people"? Is that what he
Mhm.
did?
Nope.
No. But here you have the
Mhm.
opposite happening. You have a man who was criticized because he was a self-proclaimed prophet. He has no credibility at all for people to demonstrate that he's a prophet of any shape or kind. And when people start criticizing, he gets all butthurt. So when he gets all butthurt, what does he do? Well, he turns
He
around and says,
murders
"Hey,
people.
yeah, go kill them."
Yeah, murder them.
Yeah, and after you kill enough people,
Reminds me of someone. Reminds me of someone we've encountered just recently. You criticize him, you mock him, whatever, and yep. Just want
Yeah,
to say
they try
that.
to call
Go ahead.
you names, and they try to, I mean, in a sense, it's just murder in the heart because they're angry at you because you're saying the truth,
They-
right? Yes, sir.
okay,
Well,
right.
they say such things like
Swine of a humankind,
traitor, and
Okay.
swine of
devil,
humankind,
shaitan.
and
Yeah.
creating mischief in the land, things like that.
Sure.
What's the mischief?
Interesting.
By saying what's in the Quran, what's in the Hadith, what's in the Sirah.
Well, that's
You
and, that,
know?
and this is what
Yeah,
we're
pretty much it.
down on tonight. Is we're
Yeah.
looking at this. Is it Islamophobia to go ahead and point these things out about Muhammad? Is it a bad thing to do this? I mean,
No, because Allah wants us to judge. Allah said to us to judge. Judge the Quran by the gospel. It's there. I've made a meme. I've studied it. It's there. So we're doing what their so-called religious Allah is saying, their God is saying.
What is?
Oh man, that's her.
Dahlia?
What's she saying?
Dahlia. I don't know. She says, Abbas narrated, Abdullah bin Zam, the prophet, said, "None of you should flog his wife as he flogs his slave." Great love.
Wow. Isn't that so sweet? Isn't that so sweet? Gedaliah, you need to come on with us and be a panelist. Gedaliah, you need to come on. You are awesome. She's the best of the best of the best.
Oh, I don't know about the best of the best of the best.
Jeez.
All right, I'm going to be a hater. We have all kinds of people coming here tonight I've never seen before. Okay, let me just do the shameless plug here. Make sure that you go to the channel, subscribe, like. What's the third? There's a third thing they're supposed to
hit
do.
bear, share, like,
That's
subscribe.
Right. Share, okay, share, like, subscribe, and then hit the notification thing. Ishaq was kicked out of Medina for fabricating hadith. Even Haqq, not an authentic source. Well, that's not my problem. Sorry, but it's not my problem. Most Muslims
Does he want to come live with us?
And even Hisham were, when they compiled the Sirah, the biography, he may have been fabricating hadith. I think the majority of the hadith, as a matter of fact, I think of that.
Well, I mean,
Eric, does he want to come live with us?
No, he doesn't come live. He's a runner.
Oh, okay. Just asking, just trying to give him a chance. That's what we're here for, is to reach out to the Muslims.
I'd like to see his sources that say that Sirat Rasulullah is a fabrication. Not to mention Islam by itself is a fabrication.
Yeah, see, Eric's about to show us a book.
Yeah, let's see here.
He's the book man. I'm the
Oh, he
PDF
is.
man.
He's awesome.
You're the PDF guy. I gotta have it in front. I gotta be able to touch it. I can't stand the scroll and stuff. I get lost, and then I'm like, where was I? And
I've got it where you don't.
Look at here. Look what I can do here. I can
paratrooper.
I can go ahead and fold pages. I can put posties in here, and I can find stuff with.
I can do all of that. I can search.
I like the books too, but I don't mind the PDFs.
But I don't.
Yeah.
My understanding is that most Muslims consider Sirat Rasulullah, the biography of Muhammad, to be authentic. Now, to say that it's not authentic, okay, that's fine with me. You can go ahead and believe that. It doesn't bother me in a bit. But when I cite sources, these are credible sources in Islam.
Well, they pick and choose too, I mean, if it makes Muhammad look bad and it touches their conscience.
Well,
the
this
law
is
on
true
it.
because when you look at, well, that's not a Sahih hadith, and you point out it says Sahih right here. It's Dayeb.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay. All right. So he had people. He was a murderer. He had people killed for criticizing him, and then pointing this out,
And a liar.
Make sure
Right,
that
we carried
theater,
lies.
a thief, an adulterer,
A liar.
Yes, all these things. Okay. Now here is one that kind of correlates to what we were talking about earlier with Jesus and adultery. Yeah, we're gonna double tap it. Okay, so if you look at what? Rad, are you talking to somebody that not on the show?
Yeah, I'm getting gas and we're out of gas, dude. All pumps are closed. It's not good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's talking to someone. Rad, you got 2 accounts open.
Yeah,
But that's cool. Yeah, table.
Oh,
he does. Okay, I see what he's doing. Okay.
Yeah, I think he had a new phone and his phone wasn't working right. He's Ibn Ishaq was a grandson. Okay, hold on. Let's see. I'm going to bring him to Christians. The Christian missionary, but the name of Yasar is not surprising. That wrote all the dubious stories about the prophet. Okay, that's fine.
So what is he saying in a nutshell? What was that?
What he's trying to do is he's trying to reduce the credibility of the seer, because
Ibn
the seer
Ishaq?
it's very what's the word I'm looking for? It's very damaging to.
He says dubious stories. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so I always get the 2 mixed up. It was Ibn Ishaq who initially wrote it, and then it was Ibn Hisham.
Yeah.
Because we don't have anything from Ishaq.
Well, no, we have Ishaq. We have Ishaq, but we don't have Isham. So Ishaq took it from Isham. Is that right? Or it's the opposite. But I think it's that Ishaq took it from Isham. Is that right, sir?
No, Ishaq, Ibn Ishaq.
Okay.
I gotta look this up. I'm fairly certain.
I've got 2 of the books.
Ishaq wrote it, and then after he wrote it,
Ishaq copied it, right?
No, Ishaq wrote it. Hisham copied what Ishaq had written.
Okay, so I had it opposite. Yes, sir.
Okay,
thank you.
Okay. And keep in mind, Ishaq wrote this 100 years after Muhammad was alive. So to say that he fabricated things, I agree. He probably did. But this is where we have to go back to this book that I'm reading over here. This other book. Now, this isn't. This is Did Muhammad Even Exist? From Robert Spencer. And did Mecca even exist at this time? So there's just so many things out there where you have to keep asking the why. This is where we get to. Okay, let's get back to here. Let's see here. You said, okay, and this is where Muhammad goes to his adopted son's house, and his wife, Zayd, answers the door, and then he says, well, God, I don't know what he said. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said something to the effect that, man, that woman is hot. Now, this is the wife of his adopted son. She hears this. Word gets out that Muhammad now has the hots for her. And so
he swelled for her. He swelled for her. It gets nastier than that. He swelled for her, meaning he swelled down below there.
Okay, so Zayd, his adopted son. Now listen to how he puts her away. This is the justification for divorce. Not adultery, not treating your man, not disrespecting. This is the justification this is the bar that is set for divorce. It's right here. When Zayed had accomplished his want of her, when his son, his adopted son, had accomplished wanting her, he said, all right, you're out. I'm divorcing you. And that's exactly what he did. So he divorces his wife, and then Muhammad marries her. And then there's this big stinking town that, of course, you can't do that. So he comes out. This is where he gets this convenient verse. Okay, there was a website that I wanted to go to. Where did it go? I think it's right here. Okay, now this one is truly disgusting, and I even hate bringing it up. Thing.
Bring it up. Bring it up.
Thing. Okay, so there's a fatwa that was written, and then it was taken down. But when we look at how, here you have Muhammad, who is a 50-year-old man when he is engaged to little Aisha. She's only 6 years old. So, of course, she is not physically capable of engaging in sexual intercourse with Muhammad. So what does Muhammad do? According to this fatwa here, he thied her, meaning that he used her thighs as the mechanism to copulate, which I think I said that wrong. That's a pretty good way to put it, to copulate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to think about this, a little girl and
6 years old,
a 50-year-old man, a little girl and a 50-year-old man engaging in this type of activity together. If a 50-year-old man did that today to a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old little girl, what would happen to that man?
he'd go to prison and they'd kill him. Even prisoners hate that junk.
He would be called a prophet, because that's what people do today. I'm telling you, they call him a prophet is what they do today. But if you tried that today and you did that today and you said, oh, I'm a prophet, no, you're a pervert. You are a sick man and you deserve to be in prison to protect people from you. That's what we would do to somebody that did this today. Now, to say this...
Don't we know a Muslim who said that a man who's attracted to a 9-year-old girl would be a pervert? I think I recall something about that. Don't you guys?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
vaguely. I vaguely recall something.
Yeah. He said he was 50 years old too. He was 50 years old, and he said that any men are attracted to women, not little girls. I think he said that any man that is a pervert. I think that's what he said.
They called him not a man. He in a sense called him not a man. So, I mean,
yeah, I called him not a man.
if he's not a man, that means
maybe
he's...
someone who's impotent. He said, yeah. He did specifically use pervert. He did specifically say pervert. But so this Muslim agrees with us. That's interesting. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just thought I'd throw that in there because I'm listening.
Just thinking of this it just makes you feel dirty, is what it makes you feel like. And
that's corruption in the land. Mm-hmm.
To think that anybody, let's see, what is Gedalia writing here? To think that anybody would do something like this to a little girl, it evokes anger from you, is what it does. But then to think that this is somehow justifiable and that this person is a pattern of conduct for everybody to follow for all time is repugnant. And it just makes me angry to think that somebody would think that that is an example to follow. And to try to say, well, it's Islamophobic to criticize the prophet for doing this. No, it's not. It's
protecting little girls.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It is protecting kids from perverts. There was when we first invaded Afghanistan back in 2001, and one of the first villages that they went into, the soldiers found that half of the girls that would be in second grade, which is 8 years old, 8 years old, half of them were married.
Wow.
All of the girls that were 9 and above were married already. Now let that sink in just for a second.
Well, that's to protect them, Eric. That's to protect them from being raped by Muslim men. See, if they're already married, they can't be raped by Muslim men. Don't you get it? I mean, it's Muslim logic. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, is that an excuse that they use? Is that the excuse that they use?
Yep.
Yeah, they try to justify
It
their
sure
sin.
is. It sure is. It sure is.
Yeah, see, we're protecting them, so we have to marry them off. So see, she's my wife because I'm protecting her. It's a reprobate mind.
I just have a real hard time providing any level of tolerance for that type of thought, that thought process. So does that make me intolerant not to tolerate that? And when you grow, I mean, when you spend a lifetime, defending and protecting and, raising children, and then you see people giving a pass to somebody who did this in the past, and to call that person, try to elevate this person to some type of special, I know, I get it. They think he's a god, or he's pretty darn gone close. Let's just put it that way. And to give him a special pass for the things that he did, and then to attack those people who pointed out, that's just sick. It is just a sick, warped mind.
Well, it's not just a question of he did it in the past, but it's not just a question of he did it in the past, because they elevate him to basically the perfect man status, and his examples are to be followed, and it's in the Quran where it says, the rules on divorcing a prepubescent girl, and all the tafsirs agree on this. All the Islamic scholars agree that verse is specifically talking to women or girls who are too young to menstruate, or have not yet reached the age of menstruation. You have to wait 30 days or 3 months or whatever before you can divorce and make sure they're not pregnant. It's because he did this, and he is elevated to such a perfect man status that he is to be imitated. Even to the point of going to the bathroom. It's because of this that Muslim men can do this in any time, in any area, in any region of the world to other 9-year-old girls, and it's perfectly halal from Allah. And not only that, but it does happen, and it happens, as you pointed out, on a regular basis.
Well,
it's simply disgusting.
And this isn't Muhammad, though.
Perverted is what the mom said.
Well, what you're talking about is saying, okay, this waiting period, that's not hadith, that's not sunnah, that's from Allah. That is Allah saying, look, you have to give a waiting period. If you're going to divorce your wife, think about this now. You're going to divorce your wife, you have to wait 3 months. Make sure she's not pregnant. Okay, that's kind of the family.
Meaning
guide.
You had sex with them.
No, you can't have sex with her for 3 months, and then that won't.
No, that you had sex with them, meaning you
right.
had sex with them
Okay,
to make sure they're not pregnant.
Don't get ahead of me here. Don't get ahead of me. Then there are special provisions provided for women who have reached menopause, and women or girls who are prepubescent, who have not menstruated yet. So they make a provision for that. So if you are going to marry somebody and you provide a provision from Allah saying that you have to provide them this waiting period, even if they haven't menstruated, that means that you are marrying prepubescent little girls. That means that you are allowed to engage in sexual intercourse with prepubescent little children. If you worship a God that codifies that, you're sick. You are serious. You are seriously, there's something wrong with you. maybe I got this wrong. If I got this wrong, please somebody send me an email and tell me how I got this wrong. Tell me why I have it wrong. Don't just give me this, don't just give me your flippant opinion. I don't care about that. Go ahead and show me in the task. Show me a task sphere where this isn't right, where I'm wrong here. Show me a hadith where I'm wrong here. It's sick. And anybody that would think that just because Muhammad did these things makes it okay is sick. So we start talking about the character of this guy, and when I say, and this is what got, oh my gosh, Brad, what was that cop's name, that ex-cop's name that was on Kenny's show? What was that guy's name?
Marshall?
No, not Marshall.
No, Charles Doyle.
Charles Doyle.
He's now Ali something or other.
Yeah,
embraces Islamic identity.
This is what he got him all exercise, because I said that that Muhammad was a scumbag. He says, you can't call Muhammad a scumbag. Well, what do you call him then?
Why not?
What do you call somebody that does these type of things to little girls?
Mm-hmm.
You don't call him a prophet. You don't elevate this guy in stature in any way, shape, or form. You call it like you see it, and that's the way I see it. I think that anybody that does that at any age that does that to a prepubescent little girl is
yeah, see, we're defending the little girls. We're defending the little children, and they're probably so happy that we're speaking out against this stuff. Even the Muslim women are crying out, and they're activists, that I've read online to defend these little children, because this is just so wrong.
Hey, Mr. Abbas says, Eric Smith, 65-4 is not talking about little girls. It's talking about women.
Sure it is.
I'm going there right now.
I don't think
and those who no longer expect menstruation among your women, if you doubt their period is 3 months. Also, for those who, okay, look.
Hello. Yeah. Show us, Eric.
Don't try to come up in here and tell us that we don't know what we're talking about. And sometimes we don't know what we're talking about. I admit that. But
sure.
This I do know about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right here, gunfighter. And those who no longer expect menstruation, and you're absolutely right. Those are talking about women who have reached menopause. Okay, that's fine. If you doubt, then their period is 3 months. And also those who have not menstruated.
Now,
please explain that to me. Please explain that to me.
And Ibn Abbas says because they're too young, and Ibn Kathir says also that they're too young.
And
that they're too young. Okay, and if Jalalain does too, I mean that's 3 men.
There's a passage here in the Sharia. Let me go.
Oh man, this is a good one. Yeah, go for it, man.
Okay, John, look at this. Okay, look at all these. Okay, you know what we call that? We call that OCD. Okay, let me hold somebody who has no life.
I call that doing your homework. That's doing your homework.
Okay, here we are. Page 576. Because it sets an age here. Women who are unmarriageable, becoming unmarriageable kin by suckling. Okay, so it talks about women that you cannot marry. Here's one of them. One of the classifications. This is right here in the law. It says the milk comes from a female at least 9 years old. 9 years old. 9 years old. That's sick. That is grotesque. That is disgusting. That is disgusting. That is sick. That is grotesque at any time and any place.
If you can, I was going to say, if you can pull up the link that I posted for you, and I see Gedalia, she also posted, and show Mr. Abbas what his scholars like Ibn Abbas, Jalalain, Ibn Kathir, they say about 65-4. And they explain it better than Allah, because clearly Allah was not capable of explaining it. So if you go to Quran X, right there, of course, You'll have to blow it up because we can't see it.
Let me see here. That's 100%. All right, 70. Can you guys see there? Okay.
Yeah, I can see it.
As for your women, because of old age, about the waiting period shall be 3 months. Okay. O messenger of Allah, what about waiting period for those who do not, or who do not have menstruated because they are too young? Along with those who have not because of their young age. Their waiting period is 3 months. Another man asked, what is the waiting period for those women who are pregnant? Oh, hello. What's the waiting period for? Okay, but it still says
they're too young.
They're too young because they are too young.
Even
they're
a boss
to menstruate. They're too young to menstruate, but yet you can still marry them and then have sexual intercourse with them. That's what it's doing. That's what what does Jalalain say? You have their waiting period. Their prescribed waiting period should be 3 months. Also, those who have not menstruated because of their young age, this period should also be 3 months. Both cases apply to other than those spouses have died.
Yeah, that's implying they had sex. That's what I was saying earlier. That is implying that they had sex.
Ibn Kathir, the same for young who have not reached years of menstruation.
Yeah.
So you got Kathir, Al-Jalalain, Ibn Abbas. Okay, so what was this guy's name? Abbas? Let me see.
Abbas Agha.
Ibn. Oh yeah.
Okay, what is your excuse now?
Oh, he's dismissing Ibn Abbas tafsirs, but that's okay.
Oh wow! Even if he's out of Islam. Ibn Abbas is the top of the top.
So okay, so he's saying you can't trust Ibn Abbas. What about Al-Jalalain? Wow. What about Ibn Kathir? What about your Quran?
They all say the same thing.
I don't see.
Let's see what he says.
I don't have patience for people who try to justify this. I really don't.
Well, if he justifies it, then we'll ignore him. Yeah.
I've gone in and I've actually engaged people in discussions, whether it's on Facebook or it's live, about this, and the extent that people will go in order to try to justify this behavior. It's unimaginable how blinded people are. It's almost like anytime that you talk about things that are wrong, of course God's heart is written, or God's law is written on our heart. And you talk to a Muslim, and 9 times out of 10, we can agree that there are things that are just simply wrong to do. But this one thing, when you start going to Muhammad and saying, well, Muhammad did this, well, then all of these qualifications and equivocations come out. And I'm just not going to talk. I just I'm just gonna block him. I just do not want to interact with people that are that corrupted in their hearts. I mean, you have your soul. You have to have lost your soul if you think that's okay for an old man to do to a little girl. And even your own sources, your own people who you trust, commentators, Sirah, law, all of this say it's okay.
And don't forget, an imam actually told us that a 50-year-old man such as himself who is attracted to a 9-year-old girl is a pervert and has sexual performance problems like impotency. So you might want to check with the imam on that one. But no, here's the deal. They'll defend this, they'll justify it, they'll rationalize it. He's obviously, I'm going to bet, a Western convert, because none of the true Muslims in the Middle East have any problem with this. As a matter of fact, the true sheikhs of Islam, the true scholars of Islam, for instance, like, what's his name? Jonathan A.C. Brown is like, no, I don't have a problem with that. He was 9 years old. The Prophet did it. Allah said it was okay. Why should we have a problem with that? When they ask him about, well, what about the other stuff that says that she was actually older? He's like, no, that's not true. There's no evidence for that. Okay. Somebody cobbled that together. Okay. And then you have Yasser Qadi, Mr. Holt in the narrative himself, who actually says the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So the only people that try to justify this, or try to rationalize this, or try to explain this away, or deny their own sources, throw their own Islamic scholars under the bus, are the westernized Muslims who have their own flavor of Islam, like Ken Islam, okay, or Chris Islam, or whatever the flavor of the month is. That's all they have. He's Pakistan. No, then he's just lying. Then if he's in Pakistan, he's just utterly lying. Okay, I'm seriously, because I know of no Muslim, especially from Pakistan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Iran, etc., who would say the things that he's saying. Seriously.
Right. Yep. Exactly. Hey, my ex was from Syria, so you know.
I just can't. You think of all those little girls that suffer because of this, that
yes,
have indeed been not only physically suffered, but emotionally, psychologically scarred for life. And then what you're doing is you're taking away their innocence. You're taking away those things that make them precious to begin with, and you are bastardizing it because of your own perversions. And then now when you see other people doing this today to little girls across the globe, and you speak out against it, you're an Islamophobe. You're a hater, you're a bigot, you're all these other things. And
try raising the marriage age in Pakistan. Well, so yeah, he's from Pakistan, but of course he's UK, so he is a westernized Muslim. Okay, they tried a couple things, raising the marriage age in Pakistan, actually in other countries, and the religious folk came out and said, "You are taking away our Islamic identity." They couldn't do it. There were riots and burnings and beheadings and killings. Okay, it was pretty bad, so they couldn't do it. Yeah. So yeah.
What type of opportunities, or I mean, what type of, what you think of, girls here, and you want the best for people. As a teacher, you always wanted the best for your students, and to think that any opportunity that they would have would be snatched away from them because some old scumbag decides, well, you're going to be my wife and you're going to have, however many children of mine, and then that's going to be your only purpose in life. How many girls over the course of 14 years have had that taken away from them because of the evil inspired hearts of men because of this example?
You mean over the course of 1,400 years?
Over the course of 14, I would.
Yes, sir.
The count of that could almost unimaginable. And to think that somebody would come in here and try to say, well, that's not. That tells you that tells you right there. Even when I went to that, I told you earlier about that podcast that I used to go to all the time. That was one of the most eye-opening experiences that I ever had, is when we got into that conversation that night. And they said, you asked, I said, well, when is it okay for somebody, a grown man, to marry a 9-year-old? And the response was, it depends if she's ready. How in the hell?
Say it.
Sorry. Okay. How can you ever say that a 9-year-old girl is ready to be married by a 54-year-old man ever? How can that ever occur? How can that ever happen? And then to try to justify it, say, well, it depends if she's ready to be married. No. You cannot justify that. Search your hearts. Look at that law, according to Paul, Romans 1, the law that it's been written on our hearts. We know the difference between right and wrong. You ask a child today, a child would know innately that it is wrong. Okay, so we're at an hour and a half. Sorry, I'm getting a little
No,
Short
you
temper
need to
is my
speak.
fault. Well, you get
You know,
short temper.
Eric, you have
This is
so much
exactly.
more to share, and I'm going to help you draw this out of you because you have these things to share, and it needs to be said, honey.
Okay. Well, I don't. Here in Iowa, we're very stoic people. We mind our tempers, and we don't try to, like y'all down there in the.
Hello. You know, you
Okay.
just say it because that's why you have this show, right? Is to help these little girls and to defend these little girls with your voice.
And that's part. That's
Mhm.
You're absolutely right. That's part of it. And that's if you want to point to the most the most necessary thing there to yeah, it is to help Christians defend their faith. That's the purpose of the show, to give them a justification for their faith. And the second part is to defend it against the dawah, the aggressiveness of Islam as it becomes more and more popularized here in the West, and to point out the absolute evil of this man, and to say, and to call somebody a name, give them some type of aspersion, to try to denigrate and slander them for pointing out what is clearly evil, is evil in and of itself, and you're participating in it. That's Romans 132 stuff. If you're going to participate in, if you are going to not participate, but if you are going to allow somebody without speaking out against it to engage in evil, you might as well just be participating in it yourself. And that's exactly what we need to do as Christians. Is we need to speak out, speak our minds, declare the truth. And if declaring the truth points out that guys like this are not an example to follow, and it ends up protecting little girls like that, then I'm all for. Let's do it. Let's get it done.
And a lot of the Muslim women agree with you who are activists in protecting the little children with this. So we're siding with them, and I side with them. Yes, sir.
There's a lady that is from Iran. Annie Cyrus is her name. She was a child bride herself, and she was able to she snuck out of Iran. She got away from this abusive marriage that
her grandmother helped her. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she speaks. This is exactly the same type of stuff that she talks about. This is what happens. You take away the childhood, you take away the innocence of little girls, and you put them in these situations to where they're abused, not only sexually abused, but they're physically beaten. She had broken bones, for God's sake. This guy was beating her so bad he broke bones. And the judge says, well, and when she went to, this is exactly what she said. She goes, well, I went to the judge, and the judge says, well, you just got to go home and be a better wife.
Right. Jeez.
Yeah. Let's see. Abbas.
And see, if you notice, her grandmother, as I understand it, was a Muslim also. So the women are even seeing, even though they were born under the so-called, Muslim rule, even the grandmothers and the Muslim women, a lot of the Muslim women are seeing that this is wrong.
Can I get a mod? Let's see. Get a mod. Kill all black people. What the hell?
I thought you blocked him. Is that same guy? Oh no, that's a different guy. Yes, sir.
But
that's probably him again that got another account.
Well, I don't know if that was him.
I think it is. It's the same guy. Yeah. Blocking Darcy.
The capper has people. He's allowing people into this chat room go by the name of kill all black people. I hope they all burn in hell.
Wow.
Look at the people that they have on their show over there, for Pete's sake. Bunch of haters, bunch of proud boys. Okay, I'm going to call it a night, folks. Thank you all.
It's 1:38. It's only 1:38 hours. 1 hour 38.
Well,
can we not end this?
What else do we have to talk about?
The same topic.
Yeah, the same topic.
No, the same topic. Yes, sir.
I don't want to go.
Wait.
Just going into that.
Yeah, Rad, say.
Well, let's read this comment here by Aga Abbas. Eric Smith, Muhammad did not have sex with a 9-year-old Aisha. That's what the hadith says. Those hadiths have a hidden defects. Oh, hidden defects now. First of all, they are all akbar, ahad, solitary narrative. They're still sahih. Secondly, there are other narratives which contradict them. Okay, give me one.
Right.
Yeah, there is no hadith that contradicts it at all.
That's what you should lead with, dude. Instead of saying there are narratives that which contradicts, well, why don't you post that narrative? Okay, and you know what? If you do, I will respond. That hadith has a hidden defect. First of all, it is akbar ahad, solitary narrative. You know, I mean, seriously, you guys just make crap up as you go along.
Sounds like he's Shia. He's Shia.
Yeah.
No, they wouldn't care about Aisha. They hate her. They hate her guts.
Oh, I know they do. They hate her with a passion.
They would say Aisha seduced Muhammad. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't forget.
Hit the like button. Hit the like button.
Okay. So, all right. So when we look at these quotes, this is from Wiki Islam. So if you haven't gone to Wiki Islam, bookmark that, Hamajam. It's a great resource for
that chick used to be on Pal Talk. I know that chick. She used to be on Pal Talk. Well, I don't know her, but
what chick?
The chick that does Wiki Islam.
Oh, really?
That was her and her husband. Yeah, they were Pal Talkians.
He has she does a great job here. Okay, so you got it in the Quran. So if you're going to say, okay, is he going to say that the Quran is wrong for saying that you can marry prepubescent girls? Is that it? Then you got Bukhari, says he married Aisha when she was a girl of 6 and consummated the marriage when she was 9 years old. That's Bukhari. Let's see here. Bukhari again consummated his marriage when she was 9 years old. Remained with him for 9 years. Well, we know she was 18 when he died. When he died at the age of 62. Bukhari again. Sahih Muslim. Married me when I was 6-year-old. Admitted to his house when I was 9. Sahih Muslim. Married when she was 7. Oh, well, he got it off by 2 years. She was younger. Oh, no, that's when, okay. And then her dolls were worth it. That's kind of important to look at because if you entered puberty, you were no longer allowed to play with dolls. Sunan Abu Dawood says that he had intercourse with me. Look at it. When I was 9 years old.
Wait. Real quick addendum to the whole dolls thing. There is a hadith, or I think it's a hadith. It says that not only that was Aisha playing with dolls, that Aisha was playing with dolls with her little friends at one time when he came into the bedroom for her. And it says something like that she was given special permission because of her age to continue playing with dolls or something like that. Somebody could find that. I specifically remember reading about that. Okay, but she was actually playing with dolls with her little friends. It says, you know, my little friends used to hide when the prophet ever came into my room.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah.
And she had a doll that looked like a Pegasus.
Or Pegasus?
Yeah, you know, a winged horse.
I wonder where he got that one.
That was
where he got the idea.
That's what Muhammad flew to the 7 heavens.
He was riding something that night.
Here, Aisha, give me that little pony there. Let me see how this thing works out here.
Notice how our Muslim guest here just keeps throwing everything under the bus. You got Bukhari, you got Muslim, you got Sunan Abu Dawud, you got Ibn Majah, you got the historian Al-Tabari.
Right here.
He's probably like one of the most respected scholars of history and so forth. All these Islamic sources say that she was, 6 and 9 when she, had the marriage consummated. And I happen to have all freaking 40 volumes.
Well, why don't you share that with me?
Yeah, I could send it to you. I put them all in one big volume.
Yeah, put it in that PDF because you sent that to me, right? Kufarphobia.
Not Al-Tabari.
Oh, you didn't?
No,
send it to both of us. Send it to Eric and send it to me in Skype.
I mean, right now I'm at 650 Islamic books.
Well, what I'll do is I'll pay you the same amount that I paid you for the last one you sent me.
Oh man, I'm going to be rich.
Oh wow. Okay, send it to me too. I'll help you out.
I might be able to buy a Starbucks coffee.
Hey.
And those things are expensive.
Yeah, well, I didn't know Starbucks was free because that's
Well, but here's the thing. Even without going to the tafsirs, if you just read the Quran, it says, women or whatever who haven't had a period. Well, that would include young children. It doesn't exclude them, because who among the female species doesn't have a period? Okay, you got the old ladies, who've reached menopause. Come on, I'm sure Allah didn't know that some women, which is like minute percent, that have medical reasons. I can't remember what the name of the condition is.
Yeah, there are women who don't. They're barren. Blah blah blah. But no. The whole thing is for prepubescent girls that have been married. And for whatever reason, their perverted husbands are tired of them and want to divorce them. So they have to wait 3 months to make sure that they're not pregnant. So they're too young, according to the tafsirs, to menstruate. But they're not too young to have sex with and get pregnant. I mean, clearly, Allah knows best.
But it's straight from the Quran. I mean, for God's sake, the Quran. What verse was it? We were just talking about 65:4.
65:4, yes, sir.
65:4 said that you can do this to prepubescent little girls.
Yeah, you can divorce them, but you got to wait and make sure they're not pregnant. See, that implies they had sex with them.
Notice that when it comes to us, they want explicit, unambiguous phrases, right? Well, it doesn't say young girls, just like you got to have the phrase Jesus has to say, I'm not God, worship me. But when you turn it around and you use it on them, they run like a bunch of, I can't say the word, chickens,
I know what you're saying. Yeah, I just... Well,
yeah, there it is.
This is just one of those. This is just one of those issues where it's righteous indignation. If you don't feel righteous indignation to this type of behavior, and this is, and here's where I'm actually confused about this Abbas guy. If we were wrong about this, okay, no problem. We're not doing it to little girls here in the West. As a matter of fact, there's laws that protect little girls here in the West from this type of behavior. I would think if this is such an important issue to you, you would be back in Pakistan, or you would be down in Afghanistan explaining it to the Taliban. Tell them, said, look, no, you cannot be taking these 9-year-old girls as wives, or these prepubescent girls as wives. You're all confused, don't you see? Allah was confused in 65:4. All these hadith from Bukhari, Muslim, can't be trusting those guys, because we know how they were when they developed their hadith, right? Go ahead and try selling that. I promise you. Maybe I'll
tell you what, August. Why don't you educate me?
You try to educate them the way. Oh, you're going to educate me about Islam? Okay. What I'm trying to figure out. And I always wanted this. I'm going to educate you. This phrase, I'm always going to educate you.
Yeah, Aladdin says, I'm going to school you, right?
Yeah. Right. This is like a teacher phobia they have. They all want to be teachers. If you want to be a teacher, get your ass in a classroom, all right? And then you come back and tell me you want to be a teacher.
Amen.
But when they do this, what they're basically saying is that you even though you're reading what you're reading right now, you have to understand what you're reading really isn't what you're reading. It's something completely else. Let me explain it to you. Let me educate you on what it really means. If you have to explain what something really means from its plain reading, you're in a cult, dude. That's exactly where you are. If you have to come in here and you have to try to tell me what something means and educate me, when I can't pick up a book and read it for myself, you're in a cult. And you need to seek Christ.
Amen.
That's the only thing that's going to save you.
He's all brave on the chat. I've challenged him on somebody else's channel, but he won't come and debate me. So, but yet he's going to educate you on Islam. I guarantee you, I know 10 times more about Islam in the last 7 years than probably him and his imam put together.
Well, we know what the requirement is to be an imam. The first thing you have to do is get out of jail, go rent a storefront, call it a masjid, and put yourself in charge. Then you're an imam.
Yep, pretty much. That's what they're doing.
Well, that's what somebody did down in Houston.
Yes, he did. Yes, sir, he did.
See,
That's why I can agree, because I see it, you know.
Okay, then we're also going to agree on that adultery passage in Matthew too. Okay, so
Amen, brother. Amen.
all right. Do we have? Let's see. Oh my gosh! I mean, does this guy ever stop? He's like the Energizer Bunny. Hold on. What does he say here? Let's read this. Problem with Muslims today is that they follow their imams instead of the Quran. Okay. And Sunnah.
We just quoted you the Quran, dude. The Quran says that the waiting period, okay, for girls who have not yet menstruated is 3 months.
Okay, right here. This is right from your Quran. I don't know. Okay, well, hold on a second. Maybe I got the wrong Quran. Let's
show it to him in Arabic, which I'm sure he does not read, or if he does read, he doesn't understand it.
Hey, I wonder if he believes if Muhammad is prophesied in the Bible.
I don't even want to go down that road. It's 60. What was that? 65:4. Let me bring it up here.
Yes, sir.
I am so evil.
And you quoted Ibn Abbas, Ibn Kathir, and Jalalain. One of the Jalalains.
Ibn Abbas was contemporaneous with Muhammad, guy. He lived
Yeah,
at the same time as Muhammad did.
The thing is that I think the story behind Ibn Abbas is that he really had nothing to do with the tafsirs. It's a tribute to him, but it wasn't really him. So, but even if you throw him out,
yes, that's right. Alpha D, and I forget who he was talking about, says that it might have been what's that guy? Al-Tabari had attributed that it was Ibn Abbas that said all this stuff. So they're not really.
But even if you throw Ibn Abbas out, you still got Jalalain, you still got Ibn Kathir, you still got Al-Maldudi, you
Al-Qurtubi,
you got Al-Tabari. So
yes, sir.
I mean, and you got the Quran. Now, but here's the thing: it's that the Quran is so easily destroyed just based on the absurdity, the stupidity, the errors in history, the errors in science.
Archaeology.
Well, he doesn't have in the archaeology in the Quran for it to be errors, but I mean, you have contradictions. Okay, and here's the thing: I'm supposed to believe a book from a man who was, had black magic done to him. Imagine having sex with all his wives
in one night.
In one night, yes, sir. In one night, didn't clean himself. He just went from women to women, 13 women.
He forgot verses. Okay, so that means his memory was not all that up to par. Kind of reminds me of mine.
Well, hold on. That's because he was using that Jamal.
That Jamal didn't work. It had
yeah, where's your drink at, Eric? Do you have your drink?
Jamal body wash.
I don't have it.
Okay.
Right? And how silly is this that I'm supposed to believe that Muhammad got revelation as ringing bells? I mean, seriously, folks. What was Muhammad? A bell whisperer?
Okay, here, look here. When are you live next? Sunday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Okay, you got it.
Yeah, you can go live one of my shows, man.
Mr. Aga.
Guys, when you come to the show, we are always respectful of people. We always do our best to be respectful. We can disagree, but we're always respectful. I tell you what, here's my email address. Go ahead and send me yours, and I will send you the link the day of the show.
Well, he wants the phone number. He says he'll call in, so give him that phone number too that you have.
The phone, we won't be able to communicate with Talk Radio. We tried that Sunday, and Rad failed us miserably with his new phone. All
right. Did you hear that, Aga? You can't call in.
Questions. What kind of questions are we going to know? The topic is going to be the age of consent in Islam for marriage.
Great.
Can old scumbags marry little girls?
Sunday.
You know what he wants to do? He's going to try to change the show into, what about Christianity?
Well, if he comes on, we have a
remember,
topic.
all the kings, they had young wives. All those people that lived in Delaware in the 1600s, they had
Right.
married little girls.
But that's not a religion. I mean, the difference is their Quran says you can do it. The secular people wasn't saying this is in the Bible, so therefore we do it. The difference is the Quran says you can do it. The Hadith says you can do this. That's the difference. So they're wanting to compare apples and oranges, or really like apples and dinosaurs, like I said the other night.
See, I told you right there. I like to ask questions about the immoralities in the Bible. Hey, Albus, I'd like for you to prove to me that your Quran is actually really the words of Allah, and that the Quran is the true book of Allah. Maybe you can do that with me.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I hope he comes up.
Folks over on Blog Talk Radio, I'm sorry that I see Annie from Southern Sense over there. She came into the chat tonight. If your speaker, let's see. Yeah, I'm sorry, Annie, that the audio is bad going from the live stream to BTR, and I do apologize for that. There's a workaround. I'm going to get with Paul Sutliff on that to see what it is, and I'm going to need to close here on Blog Talk Radio because I don't want to go over and
2 hours.
And yeah, over the 2 hour minute or 2 hour mark. So God bless you, Annie, for coming. I appreciate you so very much. We'll see you next time. All right. Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Is there any more on your list for the truth, telling the truth?
No, that was it. That was it. You guys exhausted me. But I wanted to go back to this. I wanted to go back to this. The transliteration here, and the ones not menstruated is the transliteration used here. So when we look at 65:4, he's saying, "Oh, it's in the translation." No, it's not in the translation. And if you look at all the translations, let's look at all the translations who have not menstruated. Sahih International. Their period shall be okay, and whoever's to keep this duty. Well, look at here. Pickthall doesn't even mention it. Let's see. Your spirit of menstruation, waiting period. Oh, no, it doesn't. He says, along with those who have not menstruated and who have no courses, according to Yusuf Ali, Shakir, who have not had their courses. Let's see. This will be the same for who did not experience menstruation. No, have no courses, i.e. they're immature, and who have no courses, i.e.
Well, there you go. That's huge. They're not. They're immature.
And those who have not menstruated yet.
So Mohsen Khan nailed it.
Yeah, so all of those, I mean, maybe you know more than those guys that, translate the Quran for a living. I don't know. Maybe you are, this great Arabic speaker and scholar. I kind of doubt it, but yeah. And then the transliteration here, of course, is who have not menstruated. So the bottom line is
their children.
That's what your Allah is saying, that you can marry a prepubescent little girl, and you can divorce that same prepubescent little girl, but you have to wait 3 months to make sure she's not pregnant. And how can she be pregnant?
Because you had sex with her.
Right.
Hey, check this out. He says the Quran already has a falsification test. Beat that first. Well, which test was that? Was that to bring one surah? Because apparently Allah was not very confident in his book, because he changed it from one surah, then 10 surahs, then a whole Quran, and then a recitation. And let me ask you, what is the criteria? Who's going to judge? Because the Quran doesn't say what's the criteria. It just says, bring a surah like it. Why would I want to make a book that's stupid like the Quran? I mean, seriously. Why would anybody want to waste their time, and people have, no contradictions? Are you sure? I'll tell you what, I will go live tomorrow, 7 o'clock. And we can discuss if there's no errors, contradictions in the Quran.
We just had a show on that.
I know.
Was that Sunday we had the contradictions, or maybe it was last two? We just had a show on the contradictions in the Quran, and we didn't even get to
it Sunday?
10% of it. The Sunday,
Uh-huh.
I can't remember which day it was, but we were talking
Yeah.
about the contradictions in the Quran, and we didn't even scratch the surface. To say that's
No,
not
we didn't.
contradictory is just, again, this is another exercise in ignorance and futility. All right, guys, I'm wrapping it up for the night. Just
Thank you.
frustrating. It's just frustrating, dealing with people that that try to justify illicit behaviors. But I'll give Abbas this. Let me just say this: that at least he's trying to run away from the Quran and the Hadith. At least he knows in his heart that for a old man to do that to a little girl is wrong, and what it looks like he's trying to do is he's trying to justify it. Or not he's not trying to justify it. He's trying to say that the sources are incorrect.
His own scholars.
Yeah, his own scholars are incorrect, and he knows more than them, which obviously he knows more than us because he's going to teach us about Islam, because we don't know how to read for comprehension, evidently. All right, guys. Sunday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, crossing the Crescent. If what's his nuts here, Abbas comes, we'll talk about these verses that we talked about this evening. If not, then we'll have another topic. I'm sure it'll be just as equally fun to discuss. Everybody that in the chat that came tonight, thank you so much for coming. I know you guys could spend your Tuesday evenings doing things that are much more entertaining, but you decide to come here and do it, spend it with us, and I really appreciate it. And I appreciate all the input that we got here, and everybody that was on the panel here, except for Connie, who told me I was wrong today. I appreciate y'all coming.
Well, you actually corrected me because you said it said whosoever, so that's great. I stand corrected. It's whosoever. That means even a woman that looks upon a woman with lust has committed adultery in her heart.
But I think it also applies to women looking at men. If you want to make it
sure, I totally agree.
But you could
betcha.
do that. But you gotta be married.
Hey, this is the most excitement I have on a Tuesday night. Come on.
Oh, is it? Okay. Well, sorry, John. You really need to.
I need a life.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna say that, but yeah. Okay. Again, everybody, God bless you. Thanks for coming. This was a lot of fun tonight, and we'll see you Sunday.
All right. Have a good one.
All right.
Hey, maybe we can do one on guns.
Please check your internet.